Hello, everyone. Welcome to the July 2025 Finance Committee meeting. Hope everyone had a great July 4th holiday. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Margaret, please call the roll.
Tony Dorsey.
Here.
Tony Cinto. John Foreman.
Here.
Ann Sather.
Here.
Nicole Satin. Here. Richard Wolf.
Here.
And Mary Eisen. Here.
Thank you. All right, so we have seven resolutions this evening. Councilman Foreman, can you please read Resolution TC 30-145?
Certainly, TC 30-145, be it resolved that the appointment of blank as a town council representative to the Trumbull Veterans and First Responders Center Building Committee be and the same is hereby approved.
Do we have a name to fill in?
Yes, we do. Matter of fact.
Okay.
I didn't know if we had to wait till next week. Okay, so can I read this with the name added, or should I just tell you the name? That would be Mary Eisen, one and only.
Yay.
We need a second.
Second.
No pause.
Okay, we just need to vote. Okay, so all in favor? Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you. We vote as amended. Okay, can I have a vote as amended? All in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Okay, Councilman Isaac, can you please read Resolution TC 30-151?
Certainly. Resolution TC 30-151, be it resolved that Samantha Miller be and the same is hereby appointed as a member of the Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Task Force for a term extending to the first Monday of December 2028.
Is Samantha here? Please come to the podium. So if you can give your name, your address, your
Push the button at the base of the mic. Perfect.
political affiliation and your reason for interest.
Sure. Samantha Miller, 29 Hampton Road, Trumbull. I'm a Democrat here in Trumbull. And I'm interested because I think there are a lot of great things here in Trumbull. There are great schools, great parks and trails, great family activities that me and my 3 children and husband love to participate in. And at the same time, it's not perfect, right? Like anywhere else. And I think as this community is increasing in diversity, it is extremely important that, everyone is seen and heard. And, I've seen the power of being a part of conversations and building awareness. And I'd love to be a part of that here in Trumbull, where I plan to be for a pretty long time.
Thank you. Any questions for Samantha? Okay. Well, we'll move to a vote. All in favor? Opposed? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Councilman Sather, could you please read Resolution TC 30-152?
TC 30-152, be it resolved that Vicki A. Tesoro, First Selectman, is hereby authorized to apply to the Connecticut Department of Transportation Micro Grant Program for funding in the amount of $5,000 for the purchase of 8 bicycle racks and to sign all subsequent contracts, amendments, reports, and related documents in order to administer and implement the project. Full resolution attached.
Do I have a second? Okay. Who is here to spell? Rena? Okay.
Yes, I just wanted to give credit to one of our summer interns who is a Trumbull High School graduate. She, you may know, Catherine Marchand, and we call her Katie. She's a Yale student. She just finished her freshman year. And she wrote the grant for us, which I thought was terrific. And she looks forward to it getting funded so she can take her bike around town and use the bike racks now. So it's a $5,000 mini grant. It is for the bike racks. There's no matching funds. However, the town has to install the bike racks. So we collaborated with the Parks Department to identify, in our town planner, Rob LaBrandy, to identify the places, and they will deal with the installation.
Any questions?
Do you have a, like, where are they, do you have a, like, are they going to be
I have a list.
at
if you
long,
want.
oh,
Yep.
yeah, you fire them
Yeah.
off.
So we have Indian Ledge Park, Twin Brooks Park, the Town Hall campus, the Trumbull Library. There is an existing bike rack there, but there's some issue with it. So, and then Trumbull Center, if we have enough money. We don't have a formal bid on the bike racks. We have an estimated cost. So we'd like to locate one not far off the trail, but in Trumbull Center.
Do we know for the installation that we have to own the cost? Do we know roughly how much that's going to cost the town?
It's really labor, so I don't have a calculation of how long it takes to install them. But from what I've been told from other partner towns, when we're asking around, they're pretty easy to install. So
Does it come with the cement pad, do the racks that we're buying, or do we have to lay the cement?
we
That is-
have to lay the foundation for it, the
Okay.
footing, whatever it's called. I don't know the proper terminology. The
Okay.
cement foundation.
Any other questions?
I have,
Good.
no, not that, nowhere in the, by the library in Nichols?
a good idea.
That would be my suggestion, because I love that library.
We can put that in the, so one thing I should have mentioned is that we can now apply twice a year. So that would be a very good location, actually. And you know, even the community garden area, that Abram Nichols Park might be another area too. So we'll put those on the list. And if they come in cheaper, we could add locations.
Any other questions? All right. All in favor? Opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Satin, could you please read Resolution TC 30-153?
Resolution TC 30-153, be it resolved that Vicky A. Tesoro, First Selectman, and Michael Lombardo, Chief of Police, is hereby authorized to file an application to the Department of Justice, Community-Oriented Policing Services, School Violence Prevention Program for funding to improve school safety and security, and to sign all subsequent contracts, amendments, reports, and related documents to administer and implement the project. Full resolution is attached.
Second.
Oh, we ready for?
Yes,
Oh.
yes, we are.
Okay, moving on to school security. I filed the application on behalf of the Police Department and the Board of Education in partnership on the 26th of June. We applied for $231,000 worth of equipment with $59,000 and change of installation and other related costs for a total grant budget of $290,630. I'll tell you in a minute what that's for. We have a cost share on this grant. I want you to be aware of this. It is a 75% federal share, 25% local share. The police department and the Board of Ed thought this was important because these are the kinds of things they have to do anyway. So let me tell you about the police side of this in terms of the equipment that's directly related to policing. There is the installation of, at the high school, and I'm a lay person, so bear with me, there's some type of a booster at the high school that allows radio communication to be able to function better outside and inside the building between officers. That booster was installed somewhere around 2011-12. It's failed. It needs to be replaced. It's a $39,000 piece of equipment. that is hindering radio communications. So that is proposed to be purchased, the new booster, and I'm sure it will be an upgraded kind of situation with the funding. The other funding is to put in the 9 public schools additional cameras. These cameras are sort of in 3 buckets. The first bucket of cameras are cameras that exist that have gone beyond their useful life and are not necessarily of the quality that you can get today. And that group of cameras would be replaced. Then there are other cameras that are currently single cameras that they would change to quad cameras so that the view and the detail they'd be able to pick up is extended and improved. And the third bucket of cameras are exterior license plate type cameras. So those cameras would, pick up things outside related to motor vehicles. Okay, so that is the proposal. It's been submitted. We will have to have a match in place down, as we go into contract if we're awarded. It's very competitive, so I don't, we expect to hear in the fall. Okay. And just one other thing I wanted to add. The police department had to be the lead. The Board of Ed supplied a letter of support as is required as a supportive partner in the project.
You may or may not have the answer to this question.
I can't hear you.
You may or may not have the answer to this question.
Oh.
But if these specific radios are failed, how long ago did they fail? Why aren't they already fixed? Since it's the school. And we just did the budget, and we didn't hear anything about this.
So I think it's pretty recent, and the chief will have to comment, and deputy chief further on when. But there's only, the radios didn't fail, the booster,
Yeah, I know what they are,
yeah.
but that doesn't answer the question.
What,
They shouldn't, if they fail, they should be replaced now. It's the school.
So that-
I know you don't have the answer to that question,
Yeah.
but I know things just break. But really? I mean, we just hit the budget 3 weeks ago. Nobody said anything about anything.
it may be
And they
even,
some things just don't, some things fail right away. Some things kind of weed themselves to fail.
yeah, you're right, I don't have that answer. The impression I got, and I think the chief would have to answer that, or Deputy Chief Burns, is that it just happened. Because I added it on the last day of the grant.
Well, I think it should be fixed now instead of waiting for
Well,
a
yeah,
grant
that's
that
not
you,
my, yeah.
then a grant that you may not get.
Yeah, that's not my, yeah, that's for somebody else to decide. But I think the chief could, maybe Cindy could have him or deputy chief to explain that. So I don't think there's no communication at all. That's not the situation. I just think the communication, the radio communication is stronger with this and more effective, is what the impression was I got. But they can answer that. It's beyond my
If the boosters
knowledge.
failed, communication has failed.
Okay, so I.
That's how it works.
Yeah,
That's why it's there. If you didn't need a booster, you wouldn't need a booster if it would work.
okay.
And you can never, remember this, you can never fix the topology of the town.
A what?
You can't fix the earth.
Oh, topography, yeah.
Right, you can't fix it. If they need a booster, they're gonna need one. There's
Yeah.
a reason why there's one. If it's broken, it should be fixed today,
Yeah.
not 6 months from now.
Yeah, so you may want to
Especially-
take that up with the
especially-
police department.
Well, that's why I said you didn't
Yeah.
might not have the answer to that, but this seems, really? All right, thanks.
Any,
You may not know this either. But has the Board of Ed been approached to assist with the funding? I know it's not in their budget, but they have the separate 205 accounts, which,
I don't have confirmation of how the match is going to be apportioned between Board of Ed and the town. when we spoke, we said it would have to be dealt with in an upcoming capital plan and so forth, but no one has told me where it's coming from, whose budget. I don't know the answer to that, or whose request, I should say. It's all coming from town bonding, I suppose, but they didn't tell me whose it would come from. That's something that, I think the Board of Ed and the administration have to tell me
Okay,
or
thank
put
you.
into the capital plan if we get funded.
Any other questions? Okay, let's move to a vote. All in favor? Opposed? Okay,
Thank you.
Excuse me. Thank you, Rena. Councilman Foreman, could you please read Resolution TC 30-154?
Certainly, certainly. Resolution TC 30-154. Be it resolved that $82,000 is hereby appropriated from the fund balance to 0103-0000-567702 Public Works Fleet Maintenance Vehicle Repair.
Second.
Who's here to speak about this?
Yes, we are. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. Rich Infante, Director of Operations for Public Works. This is for the repairs, emergency repairs for our large excavator that does most of the recycling at the Indian Lynch compost facility, cleans out easements, anything around town that needs to get done, this is what the machine does. So it could not be laid up for a long period of time, so we seeked emergency funding to get the repairs done. Got some preliminary approvals on it. We assessed the machine before we committed to these repairs. It's about a third of the way through its useful life. It's expected that this machine will be in excellent condition. It is in excellent condition now because of the maintenance program that Doug has implemented over time for fleet maintenance. We anticipate this machine will serve us well. We checked on the machine model to make sure that this is an inherent problem. It's one of those odd things that just happens. It's a 1 in a million thing. So we needed to get this machine back online as quickly as possible because this is our busy season, trying to get everything done while school's out. So the repairs have already been completed on the machine, and they've worked it. We have a couple more testing things to do with oil samples and stuff like that, but the repairs have looked like they are in good order. So,
Any questions?
Just small. It was $30,000 for the part and the rest was all labor?
there's multiple parts in there. There's $30,000 for a valve body, which is a block of steel about this big. That's all drilled and ported, which is the heart of the machine. All the hydraulics from all the cylinders, the swing motors, the tracks, all goes through this unit and ends up backing the pistons back and forth. So that's one big piece of the puzzle. The other one is a cylinder, the bucket cylinder, which is another $18,000 for the bucket cylinder, which is where the damage originally happened and it fed into the valve body. That's where the damage occurred. Now, they had to take apart this whole machine. It took them a little under 4 weeks to complete. Disassemble the machine, wash out all the hydraulic lines, replace all the bad parts, put it back together, run it through filters, and then give it the clean bill of health before we got it back. So it's an extensive process, but the piece of equipment is $300,000 to purchase. We purchased it about 8 years ago, and we have expectations we're going to get 20 years out of this piece of equipment. So it was worth the investment to keep it going. And again, it was emergency funding because it's our busy time of year.
What's the warranty on the work that was done?
I don't believe there's actually a warranty on it. It was given a clean bill of health with oil filter analysis and all. So yeah,
The parts themselves have warranties with them, the valve body, the cylinder, stuff like that. The work itself on the machine is they go through the whole process and say you get a clean bill of health with the machine. There may be another issue somewhere not related to this, so that you don't start out with a new warranty on it. But it seems to be that the repairs took care of the problem.
Will you need emergency legislation at the full council for this?
We already pay for it.
Okay. So, okay.
Stare at her.
Okay,
It was expedited through the process.
It was an emergency.
that's fine.
Needed to get done.
But I didn't, for the processing of this, I didn't, okay.
There's only one vendor that works on this. It's our HO Pen dealer, which is Caterpillar. They're the only ones that can work on this piece of equipment. They're the only ones with the parts chain and everything. We initially bought this piece of equipment because parts will be available for it for a long period of time, which they were. They were all in stock and they could get it right back up to us. We've had other pieces of equipment that are obscure and parts availability becomes questionable after a couple of years. So it's certainly worth putting the money into.
Any other questions? Let's move to a vote. All in favor? Opposed? Thank you.
Great, thanks.
Councilman Isaac, can you read Resolution TC 30-156?
Excuse me. Resolution TC 30-156, be it resolved that the Town Council hereby initiates an audit of the accounts of the Board of Education pursuant to Chapter 2, Section 10A of the Charter of the Town of Trumbull.
Do we have a second?
If we don't get a second, I don't have to say anything. This is a process that we followed the last time that the business manager left the Board of Education. That was in like February of 2020. You check the council minutes back then. Mr. Hendrickson has departed or is in process of departing. I'm not quite sure, but under the charter and the provision of the charter that allows us to hire a certified public accountant to do this audit is in order at this point. I'll talk also about the next resolution because that's a request for $75,000 for the audit. That number came from, it's not Markham anymore, is it, Maria? Who are they now? Markham, our auditor, has CBiz. Sounds like a horse. But they've given us a budget. It would be open to bid for services. So they gave us a range and it came in about $75,000. Hopefully it's going to come in at less money, but this would give us the outside limit. Markham can bid on it, or CBiz, excuse me, can bid on it, but they didn't do the audit last time. And that was KPM or what? PKM, whatever. It was who did the audit last time? And as I say, it just has to be a CPA. So I hope I've covered both of these items.
Any questions? Good.
Tony, I thought I was free. What? Never.
Is this required by the charter, or is this?
It's not required by the charter.
It's not required.
There's a state.
I don't ever remember in all the time that I've been here, besides 2020 that you brought up, ever doing this.
We did it in 2020.
Right.
Yes,
Prior to that, I don't ever remember doing that.
I can't tell you why it wasn't done before.
Okay.
It was brought to our attention by Floyd Dugas, who's the Board of Ed at the time, who's the Board of Ed's attorney, as a labor attorney, and that we should do it. It also is, I think, for a new person coming in, a new business manager coming in, it is very helpful that we know that the existing books have been audited, and that so that the new person can move forward from that point.
So every year, there is a financial audit of the Board of Ed, correct?
Yes.
So what kind of audit is this?
It's more, I really can't explain it. I don't know, Maria, if you can explain it.
It's more of an operational audit. They review the internal controls, the transactions, a few of the transactions, transfers, supplementals, but pretty much the activities more in detail than an annual audit.
Any other questions?
Yes, so CBiz, they would determine the scope of the project, or is this like a standard operational audit that?
My guess is we have a, we went out to bid with a similar audit. If CBiz is going to design the audit, I would not have them bidding on the audit. So if they want to, and I think they probably want to bid on it, and therefore we would have the specs designed elsewhere. We have the specifications for the audit that we did in 2020. That I haven't reviewed it, but that may be quite adequate.
Okay, so if this is going to be standard practice for every time we hire a new business administrator, is the business administrator under a 3-year contract or a 4-year contract?
I don't know.
Or so if this person gets a better job next year, do we have to do it again?
Well, first of all, if somebody else, if the person comes in and leaves in 6 to 12 months, there's going to be a lot less of an audit that has to be done. So I don't think that's going to be the same thing. We had somebody who was here for 5 years, and that gets us into a little bit more of a requirement. And if we don't have to spend $75,000, believe me, we don't want to spend $75,000.
Can we get a copy of the 2020 audit?
Sure.
Thanks.
You probably already have one if you, but I probably already have one too, and I couldn't pull it out. All right, well, yes, we'll get it for everybody.
Yeah, we'll get it.
Not a problem.
We'll send it out.
Thank you. Any, very good, more questions?
I'm assuming this is not going to be as, I'm assuming this isn't going to be as time intense as the 2020 because there was a lot more to go through at that time frame. But did they give you any idea of what the average span would be for this?
Not that I know of.
Any other questions? Okay, we'll move to a vote. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Councilman Sather, can you please read Resolution TC 30-157?
Resolution TC 30-157, be it resolved that $75,000 is hereby appropriated from the general fund to 01010000-5222-202 Town Council Services and Fees Professional.
We've already had an explanation on the costing. Are there any other questions? Okay, then we'll move to a vote. All in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Motion carries. That is the final resolution. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second? All in favor? All right. Thank you all.
all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please, in a moment of silence? Thank you, and welcome to the July 7th meeting of the L&A Committee. With the agreement of council, we are going to take Resolution TC 30-155 and move it to the end of the agenda because it will be an executive session. So the first item up will be Resolution TC 30-158. Mr. Buswell, will you please bring that to the floor?
Resolution TC 30-158, be it resolved that the town of Trumbull hereby defers the implementation of the reevaluation of real property required for the assessment year commencing October 1st, 2025 until the assessment year commencing October 1, 2026. Full resolution attached.
Second.
If you think you voted on this at the last meeting, you are correct. However, the governor had not signed the legislation when your last meeting took place. The governor has since signed the legislation, and rather than have somebody come back later and say, you jumped the gun, we put it on the agenda again tonight, but it's exactly the same resolution.
All right, so there's no new developments in it, no changes whatsoever?
The only thing is that the governor signed the legislation which allows this to happen.
All right. In view of that, are there any other questions? No? All right. Can we take a vote to move this to the town council? All in favor? Much. Passes unanimously. Next is TC Resolution 30-138. Mr. Marsh, will you please bring that to the floor?
Certainly, Mr. Chair. Resolution TC 30-138, resolution appropriating $31,750,000 for the planning, design, demolition, construction, renovation, equipping, and furnishing of a new senior center and authorizing the issuance of $31,750,000 bonds of the town to meet said appropriation and pending the issuance thereof, the making of temporary borrowings for such purpose. Full resolution attached.
Second.
Okay, is there anyone here to speak on this? Ms. O'Brien?
Lori, you're on mute.
Thanks, Bill. Sorry, everyone. I have spotty service, so I hope you'll be able to hear me. I believe at the last subcommittee and full council meeting, you needed to change the wording of that to be senior/community center, but I'm not sure if that's necessary now. Otherwise, I can begin our presentation. Let me know.
Mr. Chair, I think we're fine amending it at the council.
Okay, thank you.
I would agree.
All right.
Great. Okay, thank you. Sorry I can't be there in person, and sorry for the spotty service. I am on vacation in Cape Cod right now, and they don't like Zoom up here as much as we like it at home, so I'll do the best I can. This is what we'll be discussing tonight is the resolution that the council brought up based on this resolution, or the motion, I should say. I know I saw our architect there in our audience, and I believe there are other committee members there. What we will be presenting to you, this subcommittee, and as well as to council, is the 3 alternate plans based on the motion that was proposed. What I'd like to start off with is to say a thank you to our architects, our staff, particularly our senior center staff, who have gone above and beyond to try to come up with some alternate plans and have worked tirelessly in the last, what are we talking about, 3 months now to do that. I also want to thank, I know that some of the town council members have come to our committee meetings to try to get a little bit more information, as well as our council chair, who's been in touch with both myself and the architect to kind of understand this process a little bit better. I'm going to begin by saying that the majority of our committee still truly believes in the original plan that was presented. Would love to be able to see that with some add alternates that may reduce the price, but the plan is that we truly still believe in that plan. That being said, the 3 alternates that Tom Arcari will be presenting to you shortly are up for discussion, and hopefully we can kind of look at those in a priority setting. Some that may seem reasonable to this committee, others that we're concerned about. And I think probably the best way to go about this is to have Tom present those alternate plans, have the subcommittee ask any questions that are necessary, and then prepare us for the Thursday meeting of anything else that you may need more information on.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Mr. Carey?
Good evening, Tom Arcari with QA&M Architecture, 195 Scott Swamp Road, Farmington, Connecticut. I don't know if we're going to get that lucky this evening. I don't know if I'm plugged in. I don't know what packets you have been provided. Have you been given any of my presentation materials? Oh, there we go. Home run.
There you go. You're good.
Thank you. So I'll keep this generally brief. I will be making a full presentation Thursday night. But as a result of Town Council's recommendation to have the building committee look at 3 alternate schemes to the original concept, our team put together 3 different design concepts. Those are generally referred to as option 1, option 6, and option 7. All of these options, the goal of all of these options was look for ways to reduce the cost to construct the building without compromising the program in any significant way. The first option, number 1, essentially you can see here is a site plan. The site plan looks very similar to the original concept. We reduced the footprint of the building north to south, and then the biggest change we made, this is the main floor, the biggest change we made was actually at this lower level, and you can see that the shaded area above was foundation area that are parts of the building that used to exist in the concept. We've decreased the size of the lower level. The biggest changes are there's no longer a full-size gymnasium. All 3 of these schemes support a large activity room that can have 2 pickleball courts simultaneously functioning. The lower level still has human services and arts and crafts and a lower level entrance. But what we discovered through the estimating process is that a significant portion of the cost of the project were in site development, excavation of materials, excavation of soil, and excavation of rock. So by reducing the basement area, we were able to reduce the cost of the project. And I'll go into that a little bit further down the road. Option 6 was the second additional option we discovered. It's very similar to option 1, but we took additional measures to reduce the size of the building. You can see that the building has become more rectangular in nature, fewer ins and outs at the main level, although they still have the same program elements. But again, at the lower level, what we've done is made the lower level footprint even smaller. again, reducing the amount of site work that needs to be executed at the site. This also resulted in a decrease in project cost. Finally, option 7. And option 7 is the concept that we spent the most time with the building committee on. Option 7 is unique in that in this scheme, we've abandoned building in the basement. So we took all of the program spaces that were in the basement of the building and pushed them to the rear of the building and set them on grade at a lower elevation. What this did was allow us to squeeze the building. In this diagram, left-south, or left-right, we squeezed the building, made it narrower, but we made it a little bit longer, top to bottom, or Main Street back. At the lower level, you can see the big white area. At the top of the plan is the footprint of the upper level. There will be no basement underneath that space. That space will be slab on grade. And then below it and behind it will be what used to be the basement square footage, but it's built behind the building. What that looks like from a massing perspective, and here's a change to the concept looking at it from Main Street, but this is better understood looking at it from the rear of the site. You can see that the main level is a one-story building up at the top, and then back behind it is the pickleball courts and lower level built down at the lower elevation. What this move does is to essentially reduce most of the excavation on site, balance the site soil removal, and resolve a solution that is significantly less expensive to build. Additionally, because this configuration of building is narrower, what we can do on the site is we can now accommodate, we can push the building back further away from Main Street. We're also pushing the building a little further away from the north and south boundaries. That allows us to put more parking at the upper level in front of the building, and a little bit less parking down behind the building. But the overall site configuration looks very similar. And these are just some images of what the building would look like. I'd just point out that the building remains a one-story building as it appears from Main Street. And this is how it looks at the rear of the site with that lower level built into the grade. So we took these 3 different designs and we had professional cost estimates prepared by 3 construction management groups. The first, PAC Group LLC, they did the original estimating. They were one of the firms that did the estimating during the first phase. In addition to this, we added a professional cost estimator, also called PACS. This is Pan America Corporation, their professional cost estimating team. And then we engaged a general contractor, A. Secondino and Son Incorporated, out of Branford, Connecticut, who we've done a lot of work with, and we asked them to put estimates together for us. What you can see here are the original estimated reconciled cost of $26,010,113. And then for option 1, you can see that the first 2 estimators provided estimates. Those estimates were fairly close to each other. They ranged between $23.9 million versus $23.5 million. So we reconciled the cost for option 1 at $23,750,000. Option 6, again, an estimate was provided by the first two estimators, and you can see that there is about a $600,000 difference between the two estimates. They're fairly close. We reconciled option 6 at $21,750,000. For option 7, which is of the three options, the option most preferred by the building committee of the three alternative options, we were able to get a third estimate done by Secondino and Son. You can see that all three estimates, the first two estimates came in within less than $200,000 of each other, and a Secondino and Sons estimate came in about $1 million above it. We felt strongly that the $20,500,000 number was a good number. It was reinforced by the first two estimates, but we reconciled that to 21 million as influenced by the third estimate that we have. So what this demonstrates is just hard costs, just construction costs, bricks and mortar. Option 7 is approximately $5 million less than the original design that was presented to the committee in March. Option 6 is, if I simple math here, I'm sorry, $4.25 million, and option 1 is about $2.25 million less. All three options meet the program requirements of the original design, other than the gymnasium. The gymnasium was the main program element that was removed. Some of the additional value engineering options that we presented to the building committee that had been included in these reductions include removal of the cupola and clerestory from the front of the building, removal of the automatic partitions, removal of stone from the rear facade, and the removal of some highly expensive decorative ceilings from the building. Additionally, we considered using asphalt paving in lieu of pervious pavement and reducing the buffer design. So when we put that all together into a total project budget, including all the soft costs and fees, which at the bottom of this number add up to approximately $6 million, option 7 results in a total project cost of $27,115,000, which compared to the original estimate, the original project estimate, which I have here, that was presented in March at $31,750, reflects a savings of approximately $4.6 million. So it's our team's position that the exercise that we've taken to reduce the project cost, but deliver essentially the same project minus the gymnasium, has resulted in 3 good options, one of which we believe is the more preferred option. Happens to also be the most cost-effective option. And these are the options I'll be presenting formally to Town Council as a result of their request.
Okay, thank you very much, Tom. Mr. Marsh.
Are we, in any of the 3 options, are we still including or have we taken away outdoor space?
All 3 of the options have outdoor space. All 3 options include the activity lawn, which is south of the building, which was in the original design. all three options have a patio at the rear or the east side of the building, which was a component that was in the original design. However, those patios have been reduced in size. And then option 7 has 2 exterior rooftop patio areas, one off the arts and crafts area and one off the back of the multifunction room. That's an added component.
There was talk specifically, I recall, about an amphitheater. Is that gone? Is
Oh,
that
the
still here?
amphitheater has been removed from all three. The amphitheater has been removed from all three options.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Satin?
Thank you. Reducing buffer design, is that only on these 3 projects? Where was that done, and can you just expound on that a little bit?
So we actually haven't changed the design. That really should read reduce the budget for the buffer design. The original budget carried $250,000 for buffering, but we were showing very expensive buffer design, stone fence with infill panels, retaining walls, and perennial or annual plantings. That design can be modified but still function in the same way. It can be done with different types of fencing, whether it be wood fencing or cementitious panels or decorative vinyl slat fencing. It can be done with plantings alone, like wall of junipers. There are many different options to do that planting, and that's the details of which would be worked out in the next phase of the project.
So in your experience regarding, once the building is up and running, all the bells and whistles are in place, people are excited, do you look at the data or have you seen data that shows you what that bump in participation looks like generally?
It varies in many different places. However, we have a very high track record of success in the centers we've done, and we've seen membership totals or membership counts double and come close to triple after a new center has been built.
Thank you.
Tom, in your experience, there's always, a lot of talk of cost overruns. In a project of this size, how assured are you of the numbers that you're giving us this evening to be what they will be in the next couple of years by the time this project is completed?
So I'm as assured as I can be. We've gone through a pretty detailed cost estimating process where, in the case of option 7, we have 3 strong numbers put together based on the current market. In addition to that, those estimates include a series of contingencies that exceed 20%, almost 20% of the hard cost. So that's what I would expect to see at this point in the project. That includes escalation, that includes the owner's contingency, that includes a construction contingency. So I think the right procedures have been put in place to put a number together that we can work with and deliver the project. I can't give you a 1,000%, 100% guarantee. The market is always changing, but we feel the process was done well.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Yes, Mr. Marsh.
I don't know, Tom, I don't know, I expect you to answer this, or maybe this is better for Michelle, but I keep thinking back to the high school renovation and similar discussions that were had about trying to contain costs, which is always a good thing. And ultimately, I think history has proven that the town was probably penny wise but pound foolish at that time. And specifically, I refer to the removing of the pool from the project. At the time, seemed like a fiscally prudent thing to do, but now I think we all wish we had a pool. So the question I have, probably for the full council and Michelle and yourself, is by reducing or value engineering this project to remove the gym, or to curtail or limit the gym, are we going to find ourselves in 5 or 10 years wishing we hadn't done that? Are the programmatic needs going to expand that we wish we had that extra space?
Well, that's a little unfair. I think the reality is that's a philosophical question for the town to answer. What I can tell you is that gym construction, apples for apples, will never be less expensive than it is today at this particular site and in this particular configuration. But that's really a decision for the community. Do you want to spend the money for that asset or do you not? In fairness, there's been a lot of conversation over the last 2 years. I've been at it for 10 years, but in this particular site, there's been a lot of conversation, within town council, within the committee, within the neighborhood, and the general public about, is this the right place for the gymnasium? So I think the questions aren't so much about cost, is that what wants to be at this particular site? And that's a question only the town can answer.
If I can jump in, I'm not sure if you guys can hear me, but that really has been the main difference, although at different levels for each of the options. But I'll speak to just option 7. I feel like we've talked about this gym ad nauseum, and unfortunately, people have also referred to it as a pickleball center, and that's what we don't think it is. What is happening with the gym and any of these other options is, reducing from 3 pickleball courts to 2 is fine. And I think Michelle and her group have accepted that, and although not ideal, it's workable. The whole difference is about the height and whether that gym offers other opportunities. I know the neighbors have been concerned about basketball going nonstop. It was never our intention, but to be able to kind of short sight the height of the gym has probably been one of the main concerns of the majority of the committee. That being said, I think there's opportunities as we move on that may be redeemable, particularly in option 7. But I think it's hard to predict. This building will give more than what Priscilla Place does, and that has ultimately been our goal. What we don't want to do is be short-sighted in what future goals should be. I think Tom has said that we are still fulfill all of the components. It's to what extent we fulfill them. And again, shout out to Michelle and Ronnie, who have looked at each room and literally measured how many people can fit in a room to see if it is going to make sure that they can produce the programs that they are already producing. What we'd ultimately like is to be able to expand some of those, because that's what this should be about, and that's what our charge calls for, an up-to-date and useful building. So we're kind of a little bit of a rock and a hard place between trying to really understand what, if you build it, they will come. But I also have to give a big shout out that QA&M has been very creative in trying to make spaces that can have some flexibility. And I think that's one of the best components of this building, is the flexibility of use. And I think we've achieved that. I am concerned, particularly with option 6, and this is no slight to our architects. I think they were just, trying to be as creative as possible, but we joke a lot about squeezing things in, and if you squeeze, I don't know that that's how we want to move forward. But I think when we're talking about the question you brought up, Jason, is whether we're going to fulfill things moving forward. And I think that's what hopefully council will keep in mind as decisions are made.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Yes.
I just want to correct the reason why the school pool was removed. It was removed for 3 reasons. It was removed because, one, it was on school property, cannot be used during the day. That was the main reason. Second reason was the superintendent at the time, Ralph Isagnia, did not want to put it onto his school budget. He would have had to add it to his budget for operating costs. And at the time, nobody could tell him, or any of us at the time, how much it would cost to run the pool, who would have to hire to run the pool. Those are the 2 main reasons. The school property. Pool cannot be used during the day at all. The cost, and it had to be put on the school budget, and Ralph did not want it on his budget every year.
I will take your comments for what they are, and that's fine. The overriding point is we had an opportunity to do a pool, and we chose not to do it. And my point was, are we repeating that mistake, perhaps, by trying to save what is a relatively, and I'm using the term relatively because I understand we're talking about millions of dollars, but a relatively small savings over a long period of time. That was my only point, Mr. Cinto.
Are there any more questions about the plans? Yes, Ms. Hatton.
Yeah, so I'm going to move away from pool and on to pickleball. Because it just so happens that pickleball is the most popular sport among seniors in the United States of America today. And this is the area that we are choosing to pull back from if we go to option 7. So in the here and now, I mean, this sport is only growing. It's keeping our seniors fit and healthy and active and out and playing with partners and making friends. And I think when it all boils down to, where we are tightening the screws on this project, it happens to be in a gym. And I know pickleball is, it's a big joke to everybody in town because everybody's playing pickleball. We need courts and can't say enough about them. But there's truth in that. And the other concern that I have is if we are talking about the potential, and I know this is a high-end, possibility at 3 times the activity level coming through a new place, then what about wait lists, bumping people? We already have wait lists in town for pickleball courts. Now we're talking about our seniors, their location, their place, possibly being waitlisted to get onto a pickleball, again, getting bumped from participation from different programs. And I know that, I do think that we're seeing that option 7 right here in this moment seems to, give us the capability of doing what we're currently doing. But is that what we're looking to do? Or are we looking to expand the offerings to our senior population in town?
So can I just address that a little bit, just because I feel like this is an important point. During senior center hours, it has always been the position of this committee, and I believe the position of the town, is that the seniors will have full priority. The only other thing I'd like to say about pickleball, and then never have to say that word again, is that I know a lot of people have said we have the most pickleball courts of however many towns, but those are outdoor pickleball courts, and I will tell you that seniors don't play outdoor typically. So I think when people get confused about why we keep focusing on this gym and the importance of it, we have no set indoor pickleball courts now. Where they play at Priscilla Place is their multi-purpose space, which I think I've sat through 1 or 2 games, and it's a dangerous place to be. It is not a true pickleball court. So I just wanted to clarify the pickleball section of this to make people understand that, yes, seniors will have priority, particularly during senior center hours, and you can't really compare outdoor courts to indoor courts, and just wanted to make that distinction if I could.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Ryan.
You're welcome.
There any other questions?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to move this resolution to the full council without recommendation.
Second.
My reason for doing so is I think the resolution needs a lot of rework in the way it's worded right now. It really doesn't reflect what was discussed tonight.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. All in favor of moving it to the town council without resolution, say aye.
Chairman, if I could.
Yes.
If we're to take that last comment, the reason that Mr. Lemoyne has stated, I'm not sure what it is that you're asking to be done before the Thursday meeting. You said the resolution is not in the right form.
Through the chair. It doesn't reflect any options.
No, your resolution is going to be to choose an option.
That's not what this says.
Well, you're going to, the process would be to amend the resolution to comport with or to comply with what it is that you want to have happen. All right? We know, for instance, that it makes reference to a particular set of plans with a particular date that has to be amended. But we don't know as we stand here today, or we sit in this meeting, what that set of plans is going to be. All right? We know that there are dates that need to be changed. We know that, as was referred to before, that it's a senior/community center, and that's going to go into, that would have to go into the final thing. But if you're asking, I don't know if you're saying you want to have 3 or 4 different resolutions before the council on Thursday, one for the original, one for number 1, one for number 6, and one for number 7.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying.
Pardon?
That's what I'm saying. My motion stands.
Well, that's fine. I don't want to show up on Thursday and not know what it is that you're saying.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Is that in voting for this, is that the will of this committee that we go back to bond council and ask them to create 4 different resolutions and ask you to choose?
I'm saying it needs to be reworded. That's my
That
motion.
doesn't answer my question, Mr. Lemoyne.
I can't vote for this resolution the way it's written.
That's fine. It can be put over to the, it makes sense to forward this to the full council without recommendation.
Exactly.
That part of it. But when you stated the reason and what you expected to see, all right, there's nothing in terms of my expectation, and if my expectation is not what the 21 members of the council want, then I need to know if that's the consensus or of the vote of the people here. What I hear you saying is that you want 4 different resolutions to be added, or 3 additional resolutions to be added to the agenda, so that you can vote seriatim on the various resolutions.
However, that has to be worded to make it clear. I don't know the words.
Somebody help me.
We'll amend this resolution to make it the way they want.
Yes, well, that's what I said. You can amend this resolution.
Thank you, Cindy.
To say what you want. That's what I said before. But if you're asking me to come forward with 4 different resolutions.
Dan,
No.
just Mr. Lemoyne, I think the way it will work in practice is that this resolution will be read. There'll be a motion to amend it, and if you would like to amend it to say for option 1 for X dollars, and that amendment will be voted on. If it is voted on favorably, then you proceed. If it's voted on negatively, you can then offer a second amendment for option 6, and so on and so forth.
So let's not, why don't we just move it to the council.
I think we're all in agreement with that, that's what we want to do.
Strike my reason for it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Takes a village. We got it.
I think what Mr. Lemoyne was trying to say was that we're not picking an option tonight. This important, the degree of importance of this resolution is such that the full town council needs to select which option.
Totally agree. And just point of clarification, this committee wouldn't be selecting any option, we would just be recommending an option. So
Right,
if we want to pass without recommendation,
That's what I believe he's trying to do. Okay, so those in favor?
So can I have a question here,
Sure.
if I may? The way, and I believe the reason it was moved forward on this is because that was what your motion in the April meeting was to move this resolution forward until this July meeting. But I guess I'd like a little clarification, because all the resolutions really talk about dollar figures and not particular plans. So I guess if we could get some guidance on that, whether we're talking about whether amendment will have a dollar figure or whether amendment will say a dollar figure connected with a certain plan, because it hasn't in the past. If you read that motion now, it really just has a dollar figure with no, not connected to a particular plan. So, and that can come to me later. I just wanted to voice that while this was, we were in discussion about this.
So we have a motion on the floor to pass this without recommendation to the town council. All in favor? And that's unanimous. Thank you. And may I just make a comment? Thank you, Tom, for all your work through all these years.
Thank you.
And we started together back in 2015. And we had some pretty good plans along the way. And for one reason or another, life took over. And Lori and her committee has done a lot of hard work, and the town council, this is a serious decision to make, and we're not trying to be obstructionists, we're just trying to make the correct decision. And in the end, it's a democracy, and the resolution will go to the town, to the people of the town, and they will make the decision.
Great.
Okay, so thank you very much.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Lori. Next, Resolution TC 30-139. McSatton, will you please bring that to the floor?
Sure. Resolution TC 30-139, be it resolved that the resolution entitled Resolution Appropriating $31,750,000 for the planning, design, demolition, construction, renovation, equipping, and furnishing of a new senior center, and authorizing the issuance of $31,750,000 bonds of the town to meet said appropriation, and pending the issuance thereof, the making of temporary borrowings for such purpose. Adopted by the Town Council on April 7, 2025, be submitted to the town electors for approval or disapproval at a referendum to be held on Tuesday, June 17, 2025, between the hours of 6 a.m. and 8 p.m., and that the warning of said referendum shall state the question to be voted upon.
Second.
Yes, Mr. Marsh.
Given the result of Resolution TC 30-138, I would move that we pass this without recommendation as well.
Second.
All in favor? Passes unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Marsh. Next up is Resolution TC 30-140. Ms. Levson, will you bring?
Resolution TC 30-140, be it resolved that the town clerk of Trumbull is directed to prepare explanatory text for the senior center referendum question with the approval of the town attorney in consultation with the bond counsel and the council chairman. Someone else has to second. I can't do it all.
Okay,
Same
Mr.
motion.
Mayor.
I move that we pass this resolution without recommendation to the full council.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you. And now, we need to go go to Resolution TC 30-155, which is the first resolution, but is being taken out of order. So, Mr. Buswell, will you please bring that?
Certainly. Resolution TC 30-155, be it resolved that the funding for labor agreement between the Town of Trumbull and IAEP Local R1-604, SEIU, NAGE, EMTs, and paramedics beginning July 1st, 2024 and ending June 30th, 2027 is hereby approved.
Second.
Okay, thank you. Because of the nature of this presentation, we will have to go into executive session. So only those individuals involved with the presentation are allowed to stay. Do we have to name them?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we go and enter executive session.
Second.
All in favor?
In the motion, sorry. In the motion, for purposes of discussing this union contract and the people to remain need to be stated for the record.
I need to, obviously. And we have Chief Bassett and Deputy Chief Weber.
Okay, and Carl Massaro.
And Dan and
Cassidy.
Cindy.
Maria.
Maria
if she
Paez.
wants to stay. She doesn't have to.
Sure she does.
Oh, and the first selectman on video.
Selectmen's on TV.
If she's joining, she'll need to. She's on.
Madam Clerk, do you have a list of the people that are staying for the executive session? Okay, thank you. We'll enter in a couple minutes. thank you. Welcome back. Please note that we are back at 8:41. We have a motion on the floor to pass this through to the town council. All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you very much. That concludes our agenda for this evening, July 7th, 2025. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.